55, 56. Arjuna Uvacha. Jaya, you have your book, Jaya?
Not yet, Swamiji. I'll do the next shloka.
Okay,
I'm just joining in. Sorry.
okay. Rekha, you do that. Arjuna Uvacha.
अर्जुन उवाच
स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा
स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा
स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा
स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा
समाधिस्थस्य केशव
समाधिस्तस्य केशव
स्थितधि किं प्रभाषेत
स्थितधि किं प्रभाषेत
किमासीत व्रजेत किम्
किमासीत व्रजेत किम्
किमासीत व्रजेत किम्
किमासीत व्रजेत किम्
Yes, yes, Jaya. Shri Bhagavanuvacha
I don't have Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Prajahati Yada Kaman
न जहाति नेकामान्
Prajahati Yada Kaman
प्रजहाति न कामान्
Sarvan Parthamanogataan.
सर्वापार्थो
You don't
मनागतान्.
have the book, Kana?
No,
Just
I
listen and repeat. Sarvan Parthamanogataan.
सर्वापार्थो मनागताम्.
Sarvan, say.
I'll come back, Swamiji. I need to know
Okay,
which
okay.
chapter
Riya,
moving.
Riya, you do that.
Oh.
Sarvan Parthamanogataan.
सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान्
Atmanyevatmana tuttah.
आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः
स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते
स्थितप्रज्ञस्य दोच्यते
स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते
स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते
Yes. Next verse, who will do? Sharvajit. हाँ. पहले माइक ऑन करो सर्वजीत.
हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी
दुःखेष्वनुद्विग्नमनाः
दुःखेष्वनुद्विग्नमनाः
सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः
सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः
वीतरागभयक्रोधः
वीतरागभयक्रोधः
स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते
स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते
शशि प्रजहाति यदा कामान्
प्रजहाति यथा कामान्
सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान्
सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान्
सर्वान् न नहीं करना सर्वान् पार्थ सर्वान्
सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान्
आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः
आत्मनेवात्मना तुष्टः
आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः
आत्मनेवात्मना तुष्टः
मन्येव आत्मन्येव आत्मन्येव
आत्मनेव
मा
आ-
आत्मन्येव आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः
आत्मनेवात्मना तुष्टः
स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते
स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते
तदोच्यते हाँ।
स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते
Anant, you try this. Arjuna Uvacha.
अर्जुन उवाच
अर्जुन नहीं अर्जुन
अर्जुन उवाच
ये देखो अगर when you people I have to speak in English Raj Ganapati and others are there in Tamilians if you at the end of a word if you swallow the vowel so suppose vowel is a mostly you people swallow suppose it is e so you swallow that vowel then what will happen if you swallow the short e prajahati then you will say prajahat. So it is same like that. If you swallow any vowel, so why you swallow only a? So why you don't swallow e or u or u? So it's not a license to swallow a. So in the same manner, this logic came to me today. So that's why I was sharing. This logic came to me today that you swallow a vowel when it is a. If any other vowel, vowels are all vowels, whether it is a, e, u, right? So it is to be pronounced Arjuna, Arjuna Uvacha,
अर्जुन उवाच
Sthita Pragyasya ka bhasha,
स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा
Samadhisthasya Keshava,
समाधिस्थ समाधिस्थ समाधिस्थस्य केशव
Sthitadhi Kim Prabhasheta,
चितधि किं प्रभासेत
Kimasita Vrajeta Kim.
सीत व्रजेत किम्
So now, here Arjuna is asking a question and is actually what Swamiji used to say that Gita is almost over, actually speaking. The second chapter, in a nutshell, the whole Gita has been given. The main essence of the teaching is given. So, Bhagwan was waiting. So, he just thought that he has done a good job, Swamiji writes. And therefore, he was waiting. And then comes Arjuna's question. So, he coins this question. The word samadhi was used, samadhavachala buddhi. Dattatreya, you keep your mic off.
Okay, okay.
Mic, when we ask you to speak, then you open. Otherwise, sounds are coming. Video on, mic off. Yeah. So,
Swamiji Venkatesh also needs to switch off the mic, please.
Venkatesh also, yes. Yes, thank you. So, samadhi word was given there in the earlier verse. Suti vipratipanna yada sthasyati nischala samadhavachala buddhi tada yogam avapsyasi. So, that samadhi word, he gets to know who he wants to ask a question according to that word samadhi. He says, who is that person who is abiding in that samadhi? And the sthita pragya word he has coined himself. So sthit pragya is knowledge. Gya. Gya is knowledge. Prakarshena gyayate. That which is known very well. Knowledge about any stream of knowledge, any field, whether it is archery or anything. So here it is talked about self-knowledge. So pragya is the one whose pragya is sthita, and therefore sthita pragya yasya saha sthita pragya. This is Bahuri Samasa, in which the one whose pragya is established, sthita, is abiding, and samadhisthasya, the one who remains in the samadhi, sthitadihi, the one whose buddhi is firm, means it is not wavering, it is not moving here and there like that. So sthitadhihi, sthitadhi, who's, how he is asking a question, saying how does he speak? How does he speak? Kim prabhasheta, kim asita, how does he sit? How does he move? This is the second line. Or what does he speak? What does, where does he sit? How does he move? All these questions, second line seems to be interpreting is required for the second line. First line he says, what is the definition? What are the characteristics of a Sthita Pragya? The man of wisdom. How will you define a man of wisdom? Who is a man of wisdom? O Keshava, please tell. The one who is abiding of a firm mind, how he sits, how he speaks, how he moves around. So how is the word? Whether he sits or he does not sit, or whether he speaks or he does not speak. All these meanings you can draw out, but Shankaracharya ji says how. How does he sit? How does he speak? How does he move around? That Krishna understands the question. Sometimes when we ask with our limited knowledge, we will not be able to put the question very well. So Bhagavan understands what is the idea behind what is Arjuna wanting to ask. And that is what here he does that. So Sthita Pragyasya ka bhasha. Bhasha here does not mean language. How you define, how you describe, what is the description. Samadhisthasya. Samadhi stha, the one who is remaining in samadhi, abiding in samadhi, whose mind is abiding. Sthitadi, the one who is of a firm mind, the one whose mind is not wavering, the one whose mind is not shaken by anything. You know, that is what it is. I will keep Swamiji's book. So, O Krishna, what is the description of a wise person? Of a person who is a firm wisdom. Firm wisdom. One whose mind abides in the self. How does such a person whose mind is not shaken by anything speak, sit, and walk? This is the main meaning of this verse. This question is asking for the characteristics of Asthita Pragya. So these are the words. Does this person talk? Does he sit? Does he walk? So does he? So all kind of notions people are having. So man of realization will speak very slowly. Swami used to act like anything. This is just, he will just speak slowly. He will move very slowly, like, Zen masters, that you move you are alertly moving and all that. Does that connote wisdom? Whether he speaks or does not speak? How does he move around? How does he walk? So you have to interpret. The meaning of the question is to be interpreted sometime because of the reason that it is not very clear, that this cannot be. the spirit of the question. So what is the spirit of the question? He wants to really know what does that person is, how you can define what is the characteristics, how does he behave in the world, how does he interact in the world, how does he interact in the world, what is his mannerism, and all those things are different, because through a mannerism you can never judge a person. From the you there's not a yardstick. I used to say there's not a yardstick when we are giving the characteristics of a realized man. It's not a yardstick. It's only Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes that what are the characteristics of a jnani? They become the sadhana for the ajnani. One who is emulating the man of wisdom. For him, how he will arrive at it? He has to look at that person and what he will look at. So therefore, he does not have a mind to look at. He does not have any knowledge to look at what does wisdom mean. So outside behavior does not mean anything. Yet he can, therefore the scriptures come to the help of such things, and therefore the pointers are given. And these verses, these pointers are given, which you can emulate, fake it and make it. Yeah, fake it and make it. So therefore, fake it and make it means attitudes have to be fake to reach the knowledge, the wisdom. Always where you have to begin with, because with the right attitude, the right wisdom will come. And when the wisdom is there, only then right attitudes can come. It's a catch-22. So where will you begin? So you will begin with faking the right attitudes. Like always, the swimming example is given. Learning the swimming, you have to jump into the water to learn swimming. And unless you jump into the water, you won't learn swimming. So that is what it is. Anybody else wants to say this verse is so much dealt with? Some people, I want you people what you have studied through the book. Those who have studied can speak something. We are missing Sharda today because Sharda's flight got delayed. And therefore she is in the flight from Bangalore to Delhi. And that's why this arrangement today of another Zoom link.
Basically, sir, Swamiji, it looks to me that that how this sthit prajnas person, how he interact with the people, or how he react to the world, or how he control his senses while moving in the world. That
Yes.
is the moot question. It appears it has been asked.
Yeah. Somewhat. Yes, definitely. Yes.
He has defined Sthita Prajna
Hmm.
in a very short, in a nutshell, which he expands on later. But one of the things which he mentions over here is that the knowledge of a Sthita Prajna is not erroneous. So somebody might have some knowledge which doesn't stand up to questioning, and they might be very firm in that knowledge. But the Sthita Prajna is somebody who is, who is anchored in the knowledge which is correct, which is not erroneous.
Yes, Rajiv.
Swamiji,
Anybody else before Rajiv takes up? Seema? Seema wants to say anything? Ria?
Thank you.
Ria, you have studied?
Yes, Swamiji. I also understood through this conversation that Krishnaji was not just taking literal words of Arjuna, but also understanding what he actually meant to say. he was just not taking literal meaning, saying that how does he speak, sit, or walk. He was understanding that he wanted to understand the basic characteristics so that he can immaculate that in himself and understand where does he lie. So that's actually a lot of it's actually good it's actually good in that term that we should not take literal meaning of people and try to understand what they're actually trying to say beneath it.
Hmm.
So that's where he very correctly said when Lord Krishna answered Arjuna, he did not answer his question, instead, he answered the person. I mean,
Yeah.
to continue what Riya said.
Hmm. Jaya, she can fill
Yes,
the gap.
Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji.
Sharda's gap you have to fill up today. No?
Sure, Swamiji. I mean, I think I found one thing very beautiful in what was mentioned by Swamiji in the book, saying that, Krishna doesn't answer the question of Arjuna directly in terms of what the prajna is. And he says, when you answer somebody's question, you can either answer the question or answer the person. And I
Hmm.
thought that was very beautiful because when
Yes.
you try to answer the question, you're answering two things. One, you're being literal, and two,
Hmm.
you are not accepting that person's spirit of the question and guided by the filters of your own perception, right? When you're answering just a question. But when
Yeah.
you're answering a person, you have truly listened to what the real question behind Arjuna's thing. Arjuna doesn't want to literally know what a Sthita Prajna looks like or walks like. He's trying to understand the true meaning behind Sthita Prajna. And that's
Yes.
why Krishna never gives a standard definition saying this is how they walk and talk, because he's trying to explain that all this walking, talking, any overtly visible characteristics are all just prayatna or sadhana, as he calls it. That is not being sthita prajna. You are trying to get into a meditative state, or you're trying to truly understand knowledge. All of those, any of those, and all of those are equally relevant ways to try to get to the knowledge, but that is not in and of itself a characteristic of a person being sthita prajna. So if you are giving charity, or you're doing something good, or you're giving some help to somebody, if the ego is still there, then it's definitely not sthita prajna, right? Because you may be doing a good act, so characteristic is right, but intent and that sthita prajna, that this is just being done and no sense of self hasn't yet arrived. So he's explaining that in various ways, like he also says, sugar doesn't need to be sweetened. There's no characteristic of sugar but to be sweet. So there is no.
That will all come in the next verse.
Yeah. So basically, it's Sthita Prajna. He hasn't answered yet, but he's answering it in various other ways to
Yeah.
say it is not all of these.
Good, good. Anybody else? Yeah, Sarjit, you were saying something.
So it's all the same, Swamiji. Arjuna wants to know as to what are the signs of a wise person.
Yes.
A person who knows that his Atma is one with Krishna. How does this person interact with the world? So, this is what everyone is saying.
Yes, right. So this is Rajiv.
I think everything has been said. I'll just say that, as you said, that you fake it and make it, we must remember that we have to fake the attitudes, not the knowledge. Ultimately, many people fake a knowledge because knowledge has to be gained by yatna and prayatna only, and you have to yogita to get it. So, the spirit of this question is that we lay the milestones of a wise man for the mukshus to follow, because this is what is the teaching methodology all about. The one who has reached leaves footsteps on which others follow. So this question should be seen in that light only. And as everyone says that externalities don't matter, because everything what a wise man does is a expression of is a natural expression of his self. And that natural expression of the self may vary from individual to individual. Some people may speak very fast and some people may speak very slow. Some may have a brisk walk, or they may speak one language and the other. If Krishna had talked about all this, that it would have been very easy to fake all these externalities and then fake the knowledge also to appear Sthit Pragya. But it is not so. And secondly, it introduces a new subject that Krishna has to discuss now. And fortunately, this is for all of us to understand what Sthit Pragya means here. Had he not asked this question, and Gita had ended there, we wouldn't have further chapters. So it's one of the ways to continue narration of the subject. So and as pragya here, pragya, as you said, that pragya means any kind of
Jnanam,
skill,
knowledge.
in any yogeta, in any knowledge. But still we are talking about Param Brahma. There's a knowledge of the self, or Atma only is there. And there are two words which I find important are firm wisdom and not shaken. And then firm wisdom basically, as Rekha said, that the knowledge has to be beyond any vagueness or error. And such a person who has a well-established knowledge only can be very firm, and who knows that it has come from a source which is authentic, and it has come from the parampara or from the shruti. And secondly, is not shaken, as Rekha said, that say for example someone is faking knowledge and he has erroneous ideas about anything, but he is not listening to others. But over a period of time, that fault or mistake in his knowledge will be shown. So this man is beyond any kind of a this vagueness or any cognitive error in understanding. And he's a sthita because once he gains this knowledge, knowledge is well established. And his mind also is well established in the Atman. That is why he's a samadhishtha. And the rest everything has been spoken. So I think this is
Okay.
repetition only.
All is said already. So now next verse he answers Krishna's reply. Sarvjit,
हाँ जी
म्यूट कर दो, अपने आप को म्यूट कर दो सर्वजीत. Yeah. So some sounds were coming from your mic. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partha Manogatan Atmanyevatmana Tutta Sthita Pragyas Tadochyate. So Bhagavan Krishna answers this very beautifully. Yada tada. When? So he puts a condition. When? Yada is a condition. When this is like, these are the conditions, he puts two conditions. When these are the conditions, then he is said to be Sita Pragya. He defines, he uses Arjuna's word coined by Arjuna, Sita Pragya. So he takes up the student's words so that you have well said that whatever you have coined, that is the right word, Sthita Pragya. And then when he is a Sthita Pragya, when Prajahati Yada Kaman, Sarvan Kaman, O Partha, O Arjuna, Manogatan Sarvan Kaman Yada Prajahati. When one gives up all desires. Now, everybody has a question mark and a smile on one. Swamiji, all desires? Yes, all desires. As they come in the mind and they arise in the mind, manogatan sarvan kaman. What do you mean by that really? Swamiji's commentary, I think, hope everybody has read and it's all very clear. So how do you see sarvan kaman prajahati? How can you give up all desires? And he says, then you will be. And the second condition is Atmani eva atmanatushta. The force of yada continues till the word tada comes. So till the word tada comes after that. So Atmani eva atmana tushta. In oneself, one is happy, one is contented. Tushta, santushta. Hindi में है ना santushta. Tushta is santushta. Tushta. One is happy by oneself, in oneself. So Atmana with oneself, Atmana in oneself, Atmani with oneself, in oneself. How this is cryptic statement? How can we? So when you are happy with yourself, means your whole fullness, you know your fullness, you have the knowledge. So the whole idea of the Gita at the outset, you should understand when we were looking into the verses of Sankhya, Buddhi, from verse number 11 to 30, all the nature of Atma was explained, was unfolded, propounded by the Gita. What was said? Who is this person? What is his Atma? Atma is not just body, mind, sense complex. Atma is all pervasive. Atma is everything in which you are appearing as a person. So therefore, this Atmani, one whose mind is able to understand and abide in that understanding, his fullness knows no bounds. That is what is said here. So once who gives up all desires as they arise in the mind. So desires, we are dividing into two kinds of desires, binding desires and non-binding desires. So here, whenever Gita is talking about desires, it is talking about binding desires. It is not talking about non-binding desires. Non-binding desires are what? Like Gita is being taught. So it is a non-binding desires. Nishkama karma. Non-binding are all that is not self-centered. That Vyasa is writing the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita. So if you say you have to give up all desires, so Swamiji says, then Bhagavan has also the desire. He is riding the chariot of Arjuna. He is teaching Arjuna. Vyasa is writing, Shankaracharya is writing. Swamiji used to say, I am teaching. Everything, everybody. So these are the desires. If you give up, what will happen? Nothing. These desires we are not talking about. Bhagavan gives up flute. He is playing the flute. All whatever that binding desires are, these are called non-binding desires, which are not self-centered, which are for the sake of the whole universe, which are there. Those desires with which you are not fulfilling your likes and dislikes. It is not kama. Ragadvesha it is not. Therefore, sarvan kaman, manogatan sarvan kaman. On all these desires which arise to make yourself happy from the sense of happiness, that you will become happy. It is relative that you will become happy. Now you are not happy. Now you will become happy as you fulfill a desire. So you fulfill a desire and then you become happy. What do you mean by that? Fulfilling a desire and then you become happy. That means there is some lack. Sense of lack is there, centered on the self. That lack, security, insecurity is there. Inadequacy is there. Incompleteness is there. And that incompleteness will be fulfilled by fulfilling a desire. When you analyze all this thoroughly, you will find not by fulfilling any desire you become happy. Either you are happy or you are not happy. Your very nature is satisfaction. That is what one has to see. Your very nature is fullness. Not by fulfilling a desire you will become happy. All this topic is very beautifully given in the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. When Swamiji says all that analysis is given, even in this book, Bhagavad Gita is given. But there I can sense what is your nature? You are happiness. That chapter deals with it thoroughly. I would suggest you just go through that once. So Sarvan Partha Manogatan Sarvan Kaman. As they arise in the mind, you drop it. Because that is what one has to understand. The nature of the self is already fullness. You don't have to become in time or space full. That is what was taught. And that teaching is there for the man of realization, for the person who is abiding in this understanding of who he is really. That understanding of fullness is completeness, adequacy, security, that is there. You people can expand on these because lot has been said. Who has the points? Who have made points? This is a cryptic verse.
Swamiji, one question. Suppose a scientist wanted to have some new invention and his desire is to invent something new. Will it come under binding or non-binding?
So whether he is trying to fulfill himself with that desire, or this is for the sake of the world.
Definitely, any new invention will be for his satisfaction as well as for the world.
Satisfaction is always there in anything what I do. When I'm teaching, I have a satisfaction. When I'm playing a flute, I have satisfaction. When I'm writing something, a book, I have a satisfaction.
Any new invention, definitely it is going for
So any
the
invention is for
betterment of
what sake?
society.
For universal help, no?
Yeah.
It is in the universal. So all that desire is for the sake of the whole world. That is non-binding.
Non-binding.
And Swamiji, the another definition of binding desire is a desire in the absence of which you feel incomplete or inadequate.
Yes.
So in this case, a scientist doesn't feel inadequate because he couldn't invent it. He
Mm.
has invented it because he is in the process of unfolding something. So this will come under the category of a non-binding desire.
Yes.
Because if he fails, then will he think that he's a failure? And oh my God, I couldn't do it. Because in science and experiments, failure are very well known. Your hypothesis may not be conclusively proved in the end. No, that will leave him inadequate and unhappy or sad. That's not the nature of a scientist who routinely experiments. They know that failure is part of it. So it will not have a binding desire, it will be a non-binding desire from another angle.
But what about the fulfillment?
Fulfillment.
Fulfillment.
Yes, Raji.
Doesn't that
Fulfillment
mean
of what, Simanji?
so? It's only if it's fulfilled will it be a binding, non-binding, right?
No, that will not matter. Fulfillment or non-fulfillment not matter. See, if we are talking at the sthit pragya, then fulfillment and non-fulfillment will not matter. A scientist is not supposed to be sthit pragya. So he may be happy or unhappy about it. That's a separate issue.
Okay.
No, he is not a sthit pragya, no?
Also, here we are talking about desire in particular. So, no, we are talking about desire only. We are talking about nishkam karma, something which you are doing without a desire for yourself.
स्वार्थ के लिए, yes.
Binding desires are those desires without which we cannot do. Like we need them to be fulfilled, so to feel happy.
To be
Those are
happy,
binding desires.
I want to fulfill a desire. To become happy. To become
So,
happy in time.
And Swamiji, it cannot be a nishkam also because many times research is founded by or funded by companies or people who are investors. It may not be nishkam. In the US, at least, no research is done nishkam. Every research is commercialized and money is made on it. So there's no question of it being nishkam. We are talking from a oriental concept which is not applicable to the Western world.
I think Gautamji was talking about, sorry. He was talking about somebody who is actually into it for the sake of it. Who is inventing because it is what he does. Because he will gain something out of it.
Yeah, he is not looking for gain or loss. He just want to do it. Just like we want to study, so we are studying. We're not looking for gain or loss.
Gain or
We are
loss
attending
is
the classes.
not the right
But
word. Gain, we are wanting the gain, not for ourselves. Gain for the whole world, for the humanity. For the purpose of humanity, we keep on doing so many things. It's a gain, kind of a gain for the whole of humanity. But the point here is that what is your true nature? Whose mic is on and some sounds are coming behind? Yeah. So what is it that you call adequacy, security? Tushta is the word here used. Atmani tushta. In oneself, one is complete. It is not from outside. It is not fulfillment of artha or kama or dharma. It is me, myself. That security is I plus something or I minus something is not the thing we are talking of. I am that fullness itself. And wherever that fullness, that limitation is there, it can never be fulfilled. You know, no object in the world can make you fulfilled. If I am is unhappy, there's no happiness is not a hat that you wear and you will become happy. If I am unhappy, no outside object, a happiness hat I wear and I become happy. You see that? That is the point I always say. Anything that is centered on the self, all that sense of lack, sense of insecurity, sense of inadequacy, sense of incompleteness, all this is centered where? On this I. And what is the nature of the I? This concept of the I is erroneous. That Atma, who are you? That is why the Sankhya Buddhi from the 11th to 30th verse, all that knowledge was given. Who are you? And that unfoldment of that I, once you see, that whole thing is limitation of the mind only, sense of lack. And that when you keep on removing this whole removal of this sense of lack, whatever you do, who is happy? The person who has absolute power, absolute knowledge, absolute money, absolute power, is he happy? President of America, happy? Absolute power, absolute money. The person who's a billionaire, zillionaire, is he happy? So in terms of what will you say, what is it that will fulfill you? Nothing can fulfill you. That sense of lack is not in terms of this. This is a very big point. We have to think over it. And that is why introduction to Bhagavad Gita explains again that whole point of what is it, dharma, artha, kama, these three pursuits. And what is freedom, pursuit of freedom. Whether it comes from certain things, acquiring certain things, acquisition of certain things, money, power, wealth, financial wealth, security, emotional security, people. What is it that will give you security? You will find, in spite of all this, you are still wanting. The wanting self ever remains wanting. The wanting self ever remains wanting. And this problem is solved by Vedanta. That their nature is fullness. And that is what is said here. Therefore, it is not by fulfillment of desires that you will gain yourself. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. That is the final nail on the coffin. What Bhagavan says here. That is it. Yada tada. When one gives up all the desire, because desires are arising because of certain non-understanding of oneself. And then once understand oneself, then it is see oneself tushta all the time. Tada stita pragyas taduchyate. That is the man of wisdom. Anybody wants to say?
Swamiji, doesn't all desires automatically become non-binding once one understands this and gains this knowledge? Then anything that he does is actually
Yes, so
non-binding.
then, yeah, very good question, because the doership, it is all involved with the doership. If once you understand that you are not a doer, the doer, once you are committing, once you are acting in the world with the notion of being a doer, then doer signifies enjoyer. Doership comes because you take up doership of any activity to be an enjoyer. So karta and bhokta. Bhokta is not in terms of bhoga, is in terms of sukha dukkha. So you want to become sukhi all the time. And therefore you want to do to get that sukha. So all that doership of the karma, this notion of doership as it goes. So sense of doership, then you become a jnani. Then all in the world happens through you. You know, all in the world will happen through you. Nothing can bind you.
Swamiji, I'm learning to play the flute. What should be my attitude?
Play the flute.
I'm learning to play the flute. What should be my attitude?
So any learnings or any skills or anything life, everything you can learn, the mind can learn. But for the joy of it, for the joy of playing the flute, that very playing is joy.
Kartapan,
You are joy,
Kartapan,
everything.
Swamiji, Kartapan is happening, doership is happening.
See, kartapan is not, you have to understand that term of who is a doer. Doer enjoyer in the sense of doership is there because you are super doer, you are there, but doer, Atma is not the doer. The doer is Atma, but Atma is not the doer. Pot is clay, but clay is not pot. You see, this is very interesting. This Vedanta is, everything in Vedanta is here. Pot is clay. You say pot is clay. Can the pot be without the clay? The doer is Atma. We don't say doer is not Atma. Doer cannot be without Atma. Doer is because of Atma, like pot is because of clay. But clay is not pot. So Atma is not the doer. Clay is not the pot. Atma is not the doer. But doer is there. So doership, even if the doer is there, but the doer where it comes from? From Atma only, no? So it is not other than the Atma. That is the understanding of Vedanta. B is A, but A is not B. Body is Atma, but Atma is not the body. Pot is clay, but clay is not the pot. Bangle is gold, but gold is not just the bangle. Right?
But again, Swamiji, if I am learning flute, so I am enjoying for the joy of, as you said,
This
I'm
example
learning
is
for the
pot.
joy of
See,
learning it.
ah.
So the one who is learning to play is also Atma, and who is enjoying is also Atma.
So that is what it is. Ultimately, everything is within Atma, the sphere of Atma. But once you take up, your limited entity as a body, mind, sense complex,
Hmm. Hmm.
there are problems. You are a limited mind, limited body.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
the Atma is to be understood as the all-pervasive. And you are confining
Hmm.
yourself to be in the body, mind, sense complex. There is where all the trouble shoot up. The sense
Hmm.
of, that is why Vedanta is harping upon to give up this sense of identification with this body, mind, sense complex. This sense of
S-
identification. Sharda, welcome.
Son,
so it's like Swamiji, that the example which Swamiji gives, that a teacher is teaching, a Gyani is teaching for
Uh,
the,
for
because
the
he's
sake
just
of
teaching,
teaching. For the
yeah, for
sake
the
of
sake
teaching.
of teaching. He's not,
There's no,
there is no reason for him to do it.
no
So if
reason, no.
hmm,
Yeah.
I'm learning to play flute, is
Mm.
I'm for the sake of learning, not
Yes.
because of, okay, okay, so
Not because of anything. Yeah.
well, Swamiji, I like to answer Ria in a different way.
Mm.
When she said that she's right in a way when she says that all binding desires will turn into non-binding. Let's examine these two facts. See, for a Karam yogi, there'll be a understanding or attitude that uh, he he doesn't feel inadequate by whatever is, as Swamiji said, that the problem is centered on I, and anything added or subtracted from the I is not going to make it adequate. So that's just an understanding. And a jnani, he has a knowledge, and he has dropped the notion of himself to be sense body mind complex. And Sit Pragya is the one he is established in his knowledge of Atman. So he is feeling he has lost he is above all the limitations that we have of that are seen in the first three Purusharthas. So he is beyond all this. He is above all this. So for him, there'll be nothing binding because he is not a doer or a enjoyer anymore. So this question is more for a Karam Yogi. And he by attitude understands that this is not going to make any difference to him. And Swamiji, as far as the flute is concerned, when you are a Karam Yogi, you are a doer anyway, you know. But you think that I am doing it for the sake of my Lord. You know, you can say that I'll play as beautiful as Krishna plays. You know, you can say that I do it for singing bhajan, or I'll devote it to my Lord or Ishwar. And when you are a jnani, then it doesn't matter. You do it for the sake of it.
Yeah, so these are all the clarity will come with all that it's not the activity which is a problem. It is a sense of happiness which you draw from your activity. You want to become happy. You are not happy now. You are not tushta. You want to become happy. That is the problem. Becoming without that, your sense of lack is there. Without this, you will be incomplete. Without gaining this, without gaining that, without fulfilling your desire, without that, all that is, it is only a sense of limitation, which
Swamiji,
you are experiencing.
you seek what you lack.
Yes,
Ultimately, everyone is seeking what you lack.
what you
If you
lack.
already have it, you'll not seek it. So
And
if you are
therefore,
seeking,
this big knowledge is you don't lack anything.
lack anything.
You are right here and now complete. This is a total shift in understanding. Asatoma Sadgamaya. From Asat to Sat. This shift, how I am that already. I don't have to become that. That is the teaching of Vedanta. That is the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. From the sense of fulfillment, from being Ananda. That is what next verse will explain to you. Dukkeshu anudvigna manaha, sukheshu vigataspriha, vitaraga bhayakrodha, sthita dhihi tadochyate. Sthita dhir muniruchyate. So these are the pointers through which one can emulate, because Bhagavan is given how one can really establish who is a wise person, and also there are pointers by characteristics giving. What is this? He says one who is dukkeshu anudvigna mana, sukheshu vigataspriya. So anudvigna manaha, mana, when the mind is not turbulent anymore in dukkha. Dukkeshu, when dukkha comes, sorrow comes. Sorrow comes from where? What can be the source of sorrow? Three sources are told. Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika. Adhyatmika, Atma is the source. Your own body, mind, sense complex is the source of sorrow. Now you are having severe headache. I can't sit in the class, Swamiji. I have severe headache. My mind is all agitated because I lost somebody in the family, and therefore I can't concentrate on anything now. Sad to the core. Adhyatmika, source of sorrow. Adi Bhautika, from the next room, loud music from your neighbor's house. Party is going on whole night. DJ, playing the DJ, and all drum beats and all that you can hear. All the mosquitoes are troubling, bugs are troubling. Adi Bhautika. from the things and beings around you. In the jungle, tiger may come. Adi Daivika, all the forces, elemental, earthquake, tsunami, all these are Adi Daivika. These are all the source of sorrow. Sorrow you cannot divide in many things. Sorrow is dukkha is only one type. Sorrow, dukhi. But sources can be many. And in that, anudvigna, not affected. A jnani is not affected. That means jnani cannot be, Swamiji, you are a jnani. Then you should remain without being perturbed. You get this, you get that. Nothing like that. He says, not affected. Jnani cannot, for Jnani also all these problems will come because he also has a body mind sense complex. And all the limitations of the body mind sense complex are there. Body will have disease. No? Body will have disease. Dukkheshu anuddigna manaha. Sukheshu vigata spriha. And when the sukha comes, what happens? Spriha. Desire to repeat once more. Swamiji says, once more, it should happen in my life. That spriha vigata, that spriha is gone. That this sukha should keep repeating, this should come again and again, again and again in my life. I want to have that all the time. That kind of a desire, that kind of a spriha, vigata, is gone from that longing. You are longing for such a thing to repeat. Vitaraga bhaya krodha. Vita is word, this term, this phrase, Vitaraga bhaya krodha has come many times in the Gita. Raga is desire and krodha is anger. When your desire is not fulfilled or somebody is obstructing the fulfillment of your desire, what will happen? To the source of that obstruction, wherever it is coming from, you will have anger. You know? And that is why he says, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. Bhaya is in between Raga and Krodha. To fulfillment of a desire will give you everything. So whenever there is fear, fear is because of duality only. Once you have this duality between Jiva and Ishvara, individual and God, you are individual and God is something and individual because you are not God. You are not Ishvara. You don't have that understanding that you can be that fullness, the whole, that what is Ishvara. The sense of lack is there. Then always from the duality, from the other, you will have fear. Dvaitat bhayam bhavati. Wherever there is duality, you will have fear. You have sense of fear. So this Vita, from this Jnani, this sense of Raga, Bhaya and Krodha, all these three are gone. Then that person is Stitadihi, whose knowledge stays, whose knowledge is abiding. Then he is said to be a one who does not have this longing and fear and anger. In adversities, he is not affected. In pleasures, he is not yearning. So this is what a man of wisdom is. Swamiji goes on and on. Absence of fear is, what is that notion that I am this much alone? I am confined to this body, mind, sense complex. And really speaking, your I Is it confined to your body, mind, sense complex? I am. When you say the whole world is included in that I am. Where is the world? World is in you. I am. In that I amness is the whole world. Can't you see this? When you wake up in the morning, what is the thought? No thought. You just wake up. The I amness of the whole world is there. Then you become aware of the body. It's a process. Every day you go through it. Those who are really practicing meditation and all, they become very aware of those moments when this process of from the whole I am to this identification with this body mind sense complex takes place. Oh, I am this in this place in Devaprayag. I am in Rishikesh. I am in Delhi. I am in a hotel room. Suddenly you don't realize because new place you go, hotel room. Oh, you wake up every day in your room. Now today you are in a hotel room. But when you wake up for a split moment, that I amness is the whole cosmos. In that I am is the whole world. But you, after that, I am, next is identification with the body, mind, sense complex. And there is where you have to understand in the dream also, your mind is the whole dream. And in the sleep, this I am is what? Absence of everything, time and the whole space. I amness is the whole, I amness is just the prana. And in the whole world is your no awareness. In the dream, it is I am is the whole world. So this duality, fear will be there when you don't understand that I am. I am is this body, mind, sense complex, and the world is different from me. Ishvara is different from me. World is different from me. The sense of fear will be there. And therefore, this knowledge that I am the whole will take you away from this man of wisdom. Vita raga bhaya krodha. Raga bhaya krodha. What a good expression this is. Anybody wants to speak on these verses, this verse and last verse together on these two verses? Any points? Anybody can make any point. Simple points. You don't have to speak big, eloquently, some lecture, something, some points only. Book is there from the book.
Swamiji, I just wanted to talk about Manogatam.
Manogatan Kaman.
Manogatan. So Manogatan is um, uh, translated is as they appear in the mind. So far as the desire is concerned. So it actually means that minds will have desire, whether it's a jnani or a jnani. A
Definitely.
jnani will have desires and they'll be both binding and non-binding, but more will be binding because he has a basic inadequacy as a person. And so he tries to fulfill that inadequacy by fulfilling his desires. So greater the raga, more the desires, more the inadequacy, more the prayatna. So for Astit Pragya, the desires will come, but they'll now or be non-binding because he has no kartar bhokta concept. He is neither enjoy. He knows that Atma is neither the doer nor the enjoyer. So a person will not act on his fancy. A wise man will not act on on these fanciful ideas because they don't define him. The desires don't define him. When the desires don't define him, the non-binding desires become a luxury. He may think that he wants to have ice cream. He wants to go for a walk at 11 o'clock in the night. He may do it or he may not do it. Now, there's no pressure on him, or they don't cause him any kind of a longing, yearning, or any stress on him. This is how the desires will keep coming. This important. This word is important because many people talk about desirelessness. The desirelessness is just not possible because the mind is fed by the senses. The senses are giving you all the impulses of the whole world, and that will create some kind of a desire. But a wise man knows that they are just a fanciful ideas and a fleeting thought. He'll not act on them. While a unwise will act on them and will have sukha and dukha thereafter. So Astitya Pragya will also have desires, but those desires are they are non-binding, and he has that filter to neglect those thoughts. They stay in the mind. They are not to the next level of action. So the sense organs don't act on them. So that's why it's important, because many people think that to be happy is to be desireless, which is a utopia. It's just not possible.
Yeah, so desirelessness is to be understood in the right method, right manner, because this is a very misunderstood. Oh, you give up all the इच्छा. अभी तो तुमको साधु बनना है. You will become a saint only when you give up all desires, and then, like a dead person, like a stone, you become. It is not like that. What do you mean? Doership has to be given up. That Atma is the doer, enjoyer. That understanding of Atma taken to be, there is a Kriya, Vikriya in the movement in the Atma means something is, Avyayas are there and all this. All that, that is why there is so much of study involved. So Manogatan Kaman, Sarvan Manogatan Kaman is in the sense of all those desires which are from the Artha Kama pursuits when you want to become happy. As soon as you want to become happy, you are not happy. So you want to become happy. That becoming is in a time and place, and therefore you are other than, you are limited. The sense of lack, and therefore you want to become happy. That is all the mind, limitation of the mind. And you are superimposing that limitation upon the Atma. So this shift in Atma to who you are will happen only when you have the clarity of I amness. What is this I? Nature of this I. So that I am the problem, I am the solution, we keep saying, but I am the problem because of the sense of lack and everything is centered on the self. And that idea has to be looked into thoroughly. That itself is a problem. And that is what the teaching is all about. That is where there is a dialogue between a teacher and a student. And all the teaching, all the Upanishads are in a dialogue form because there is something to be understood. And a drastic change in the mind has to happen. Because mind is taking itself with the body, mind, sense control without any thinking, non-thinking. Because you just grow with this idea, I am this, from the child gets the idea of I from the age of 3 or 4. To itself I say I comes. First he will say Ram is eating, Ram is crying. Then he says I am eating, I am crying. First child says his own name. All would have done that. I had done that. All of you must have done that. Then he will say I. So that sense of identification begins as young as 2-year-old child. And that is totally into all your veins and everything. It is gone into you. And that idea has gone into you. That idea is to be looked into. Who you are. Upanishad is helping you. Gita is helping you. And you have been given a very intelligent mind, thinking faculty, discriminating faculty with which you can arrive at yourself. Yes. Anybody else?
I have a question, Swamiji.
Yes, Arun.
When we talk about Gita or Upanishad, is it something a radical thinking? Gita is all about radical thinking or lateral thinking, because earlier it used to be lateral thinking, but I seems like when Arjuna came into the war ground, and therein to give some radical thinking or radical thought process, Sri Krishna has given all of these Gita teachings. So as for you, what it is? I believe it is a radical thinking. Is it right, or it's a lateral thinking?
Yeah, Rajiv will understand your question better.
I don't know. Actually, it's a thinking which is a felt need. Because you have tried all Purusharthas to be happy, and you could not be. No, you want to see something which has a lasting happiness, because that waxing and waning of happiness and the sukha and dukkha, they have troubled you. No, you just want to know uh, there must be a knowledge which is different from what I have been practicing, because it has not given me lasting happiness. So then it becomes a knowledge of the seeker. This is neither left, this is not right, not radical. Because till you are satisfied with the world, you follow what the world tells you. You follow all Vyavaharik knowledge. But once you feel the need for it, that, oh my God, everything that I've tried has not given me any lasting happiness, and you feel the need to feel freedom from all the limitations that you have, then only you seek it. It's not knowledge that can come easily. Unless you feel for it, no one can give it. As Swami ji, we keep saying कि घोड़े को पानी तक तो ले जाओगे, पिलाओगे कैसे? So it's just a felt need only. I'll not label it as any radical or a literal thinking. That's the only thinking for a right-minded person at a right point in time. With right purusharthas and with right yatna or right prarabdha.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Anybody wants to say something from the Gita book, points or some questions or something? So these verses are very important from the standpoint of what kind of a vision a jnani has. These are not from the standpoint of this will be the jnani, and therefore it is not for judging a jnani. It is only that how you can emulate these virtues, so that these are the means of becoming a jnani also. Dukkeshu nudvignamanaha sukheshu vigataspriha. Prajahati yada sarvan kaman manogatan kaman prajahati. Atmani eva atmana tushta. Atmani eva atmana tushta. How can one be happy in oneself, with oneself? That is the question to be really thought of, think about. Yes.
Yeah, Ramji, that's the only way one can be happy. Because till you are a sense body mind complex and you are comparing, and you are, what you said, trying to be happy or thinking that you will be happy, that happiness never will be there. Because as we know that every karma will lead to either fulfillment or a failure. In any case, you will have sukha and dukkha. And the world becomes too big for a person who thinks himself to be a body mind complex, or he doesn't he thinks that there's a jiva ishvara veda, and that itself will cause a lot of fear and bhaya. And with all these things, and desire happening, krodha happening, and greed happening, how can anyone be happy? So one has to give up the identity of the self and know himself to be Atman, to have that tushti. Because the Surupa of Atma is Ananda only. The
Satchidananda.
all Sachidananda. So the limitations will go only once you consider yourself to be the consciousness principle, and not never when you are in a sense body mind complex. Because all happiness will be relative only, and will be for the time being only. Only thing that can be lasting, atushta, will be Atman tushta only, not possible otherwise.
So Ananda is a prema expressed in the form of love. Ananda. And that form of love, negative emotions are all positive are sympathy, compassion. It will all express in sympathy, compassion, love. And negative will be jealousy, greed, lust, all those things. So, but it is same, Ananda. But if it is positive, it is a spontaneous expression. So Danam, Sir Swamiji says at one place that if I want to give somebody something, why should I give? This thought, if it comes, that you are not a spontaneous giver. You are giving out of some ideal, and actually you don't want to give, but ideally you want to give. Ideally you want to give, actually you don't want to give. For a jnani, it is said all these values, these are spontaneous expression. It is not just faking and making also. He is not faking it. He has that expression. And these expressions, it is not, Swamiji says, it is not like a boat that you cross the river and now the boat is no more required. All these values and attitudes, right values and attitudes in your life, which you have emulated, they carry on with you as spontaneous expressions of life. That is the beauty of life, the joy of life. You express as like a beautiful person. Wherever you go, people love you. Because everybody is good only, inherently. But that goodness, because our minds are colored, we are not able to see that goodness. We are not able to trust people. We always have, think that there is something wrong somewhere. Try to be giving, try to be loving, without any judgment, unconditional love, unconditional happiness, unconditional joy, unconditional giving. All these things, when it is will see your life, you will, because of because of your wisdom, you will stop arguing with people. Argument is there why? I know better than the other person. Why? Are Baba, you love, fine, unconditionally, you say, okay, fine. This much only is knowing right this point of time. And if somebody comes for you, some advice, you can advise. But why to argue? Actually, you will see whenever I have argued with somebody, later on, my mind only suffers. Why I did this? Because ultimately you will only suffer. You will see that. You will not be happy with that. And therefore, freedom is lost. To be free unconditionally, you have to have all these qualities, unconditional love. And that is what a jnani with these spontaneous expressions, all these positivities are there. Not that he cannot express his anger comes and goes. Even if anger comes, it will not stay for too much time. It will just passingly go.
So, Swamiji, if a Gyani goes to a government hospital or a government office, he'll have that frustration. No, that is almost universal, but it'll not last long for him. And on
Yes.
the other thing, I was wanting to say that the world is without any attribute. The attributes are the reflection or a projection of the self only. Because the Jnani has no more projections, that the Pratibhasik Satta. So the world becomes without any attribute. And when the whole world is seen without attributes, there is no judgment left.
Yeah, it's
And
a
another thing I
point.
saw that
Very big point. People have to digest it and assimilate it and think it what you have said. In the sense that what he is saying is all attributes of the world, attributes are only pratibhasik, means your imagination, your projection. Pratibhasik satta is, which is not actual. Vyavaharik is actual. Vyavaharik satta means the duality, whatever is there in the world, you see the table is there. But when you imagine a table in your mind, that is your projection. So all the attributes of the world he is telling, they are all projected, imagined. I am imagining Rajiv to be a bad man. Or Rajiv is thinking so many things about me wrong. All my projection. He may not be thinking all that. That is Pratibhasik Satta. So all the world, because For a jnani, everything is a projected thing, pratibhashik satta, therefore he does not care for it then. And what is vyavaharik satta is sees as a Ishvara's manifestation only. Whatever has manifested is Ishvara only. That is what it is.
He, because he's a Tushtha, Atam Tushtha, that is the reason that he's a biggest Priya also. Because he is no Ananda, unlimited, Prem or compassion. And he doesn't yearn for anything, but he doesn't need it from outside. Yearning for a pleasure is only for those who don't have it. They just want to repeat the experience again and again because at some point in time they had that pleasure, and the taste of the pleasure is still there. Since say for example you taste sugar or jaggery, and you just want it because that taste lasts in you, in your mouth. So similarly, a person who is unhappy will have the taste of happiness which he had experienced once upon a time, the Nanda that he had experienced once upon a time. That is the basis for yearning. But one who has become Tushta, he has no yearning left. That's why he is biggest Priya.
And you cannot make a sugar crystal more sweet. That is the example given again and again in the Gita. It is sugar crystal is sugar itself. It's not does not need any outside sugaring to it. The crystal is already saturation with sweetness. And that is what you are actually. That is what is understanding. That is what the shift in the understanding has to take place. It's all in the mind. The whole thinking is a problem. And that is why seeing the whole truth in the right manner is the wisdom of a jnana. Clarity. Oh, jnana does not mean there is some experience will happen and then everything will change, some samadhi will happen. Somebody will do something, some magic wand they will do, and then something will happen to me, and then I'll be a realized man. Nothing like that. You have to work for this clarity, and that clarity is the wisdom. Seeing yourself in your fullness. That fullness is like sugar crystal only. It does not
Swamiji,
need outside.
you said now who is happy. So I say three M's are happy. One is
Uh,
a moron, other is a muni, and third is mortalized. One is already dead.
halke, slowly.
So there are
Moran,
three M's. I said there are three M's who are happy.
uh,
One M is moron, and the second M is muni.
Muni,
That's a really wise man.
Muni,
And third is mortalized, who is already dead.
mortalized. Moran is what actually?
One
Deluded
who
person.
Huh?
Somebody who is deluded, basically.
You have got down from the aircraft.
No, I'm still at the airport, but yes, I wanted to
she's
talk.
collecting her luggage, Sharda. I'm sure about
How do
that.
you know that? Oh my God, you are the Gyani.
And this is another projection about a Jnani that he will know things of the world around.
Yes, see, that's I know.
Moran, I have heard that word, Moran, all that.
Uh, uh, uh,
Moron, Swamiji.
Morons,
Moron.
yes, morons, yes, morons. Moron,
yes,
morons. So, what else? Anybody else wants to say anything? It's a difficult thing to appreciate in the beginning, and that is why the study is involved. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. पहले ही लोग people will be afraid of this statement itself. So Swamiji gives on and on. I have not repeated everything that when you give up all desires, then you will become like a madman.
Swamiji, there only I wanted to make a point, which is like, I think many times we keep saying, okay, these people versus others, or the ones who are and those who are not, and that kind of dividing people into who's a jnani and who's not. I think in all of us, there is a certain level of it. So there's a difference between stock and flow. We're constantly trying to put everything into a stock. Okay, now who all are jnani and who's not? Even the question as it is literally asked, like, can I quickly know what are the characteristics? Okay, they speak more softly, or they speak loudly, or they speak, or they walk fast, or they walk slow. What if they don't have legs? What if they don't have a tongue? Can they not be jnani? Etc. is the question that Krishna is getting to. And what he's really trying to say is that all of us, there's nobody who would have lived so far who has not reached a moment of that sthita prajna at some point, right? Somewhere in our lives, we've been sthita prajna. Many times in our lives, we are not. And so it's a constant process of trying to figure out where have you made your binding desires non-binding? Let us even take a small example of addiction, and not even smoking or alcohol, even food addiction to a sweet. If I feel like I have to eat a sweet every day, it's so compulsory that nothing I can do but have 10 rasgullas. That's an extreme form. I can still enjoy a rasgulla if somebody gives it to me, but I don't have to become diabetic and so dependent on the rasgulla. The rasgulla is driving me versus me, the other person, right? So in any desire, from a simple desire of food to a desire of anything else, it is not the desire itself that's the problem. Desires will exist. As Krishna himself says, I mean, Krishna wrote the Mahabharata and spoke about the Gita. Krishna did so many leelas and actions in his life. Shankara himself has written a commentary. So, you can't say Shankara did not do actions. So the desires should not be binding is the point. And in
Yes,
in
yes,
all
yes.
of us, there is binding desires that come continuously. How we are practicing making them non-binding through process is a process, and we should be very loving and forgiving to ourselves and everyone versus trying to look for, oh, this is a jnani, that is not, or oh, I'm not a jnani because I didn't
And
do
that
all
is why
this.
it is not for judgment of Gyan or
Yes,
Agyan. Therefore, it is
yes,
not judgment. It is not no yardstick, no measuring
yes,
scale for, there is no pointers like that. But that is
yes.
why at the outset, Shankara says these are only the means through which you can emulate to be a Gyani. But that is not the yardstick, because any karma outside expression cannot be the pointer of who is a Gyani or who is not. Because
Yes.
even these pointers cannot be, because it is only karma. Karma is not related to Jnanam in any way.
Mm.
Jnanam is different. Jnanam is a different thing altogether. Because I am what the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is the very essence of the whole cosmos, the very cause of the whole cosmos. And that I am, I am. That I am, I am. That I am, what kind of an I am is this? So that is what this knowledge is amazing. This
Mm.
blow your mind once you get into it, then
And Swamiji, Jaya Sthit Pragya is a state which is irreversible. You cannot be Sthit Pragya at times and not at times.
yes,
You can be wise at times and unwise at times because we are moved by our likes and dislikes, anger and envy, and all those emotions. But it's a established state. The
yeah, yeah.
Mumukshu is one who is trying to be, I mean, desires to reach the Sthit Pragya state. He
That
may
is what
have
she
that
wants.
wavering,
That
but
is
one
what
who
she
has
wants.
become
Yes,
wise is the
yes,
wise.
yes.
That's right.
Yes, I'm not being semantic about it. So there's no argument here. I'm just saying we are all not Sthita Prajna yet
Yeah.
in this entire universe, right? And there is a need for us to get there, and all our sadhanas reach that, or are an attempt to reach there. And in moments, and in certain facts and moments, we've probably displayed it. And we definitely have. Because there's
Yes.
no difference between our light and the universal light.
True. They are the very fact that we are in the class, we are showing it that it exists somewhere in us. That
Yeah.
Yes,
wisdom is there, or we have a yearning for that wisdom.
So
yes.
today's class, Jaya, I did not want to cancel only because of you. You said Fridays you cannot attend, only Thursdays you can attend. So there are so many people who were ready to for this class only. It's Thursday. So there was a point of time when I said to Rekha, let us shift it to class tomorrow. But then I thought of you. But then I called Anu because there were problems of connecting to the link what Sharda had given. So they were asking email, password, so many things. So it was not to happen. Then we found a way and mean to happen, this class to happen. Anyway, So all
Thank
good.
you, Swamiji. Swamiji, I don't know if we can just not make a general Zoom for your class alone, which 5 or 6 administrators across can have, so that it's continuous and always.
Yeah.
A suggestion for
What
easy enough.
suggestion?
It's easy enough in Zoom to create an account
No,
for the
but
Gita.
in my Zoom also there, we don't need to log in as Sharda. You can log in as yourself and claim the host by entering the host key. That's
Acha.
how the my yoga class has been running for 3 months now. I haven't given my password and email to them.
Oh, Rekha did not know that.
No,
Yeah.
no. When I clicked on the thing for the host key,
Oh,
it asked me for the email ID and the password.
Yeah,
So
so
that's
why
what I got.
not create an email ID that is just at gita.com or swamiji.com or whatever? It's possible to do that. That is not personal.
yes, but somebody will have to pay for it.
We need
Yeah,
somebody as dedicated as Sharda who can,
No, it's not a dedication. I'm sure 3-4 of us can. The idea is that somebody has to own it and pay for it.
Yeah.
So,
That
yeah.
I'm sure the class can pay for. I'm sure it's not more than
Hello, I will work it out. Tomorrow is Kartik Purnima, so all the good wishes and lot of Deva Deepavali will happen all over India. Here also Devaprayag, I got a message that Deepadanam will happen in Ganga. So 5:30 I'll try to go 5:30. And tomorrow is a holiday here. So that's it. Have a nice Kartik Purnima, Guru Nanak Jayanti. All that is there tomorrow.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you, Sanjay.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मा मृतङ्गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम थैंक यू ऑल
Thank you, Swamiji.
Rekha, you can stop
Thank
the
you,
recording.
Swamiji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Rekha, you can stop the recording. Hari Om.
Hari Om.